Hello, Chris Fisher. I'm reading Stanley in Space by Jeff Brown. We are on Chapter 6, Tyraville. Gosh, Stanley said, it makes me homesick in a way. Except for its size, the lack of greenness, the Tyran capital was indeed much like a small village on Earth. A main street bustled with Tyrans shopping and running errands. There were a handsome school and public buildings, two churches with spires as high as Mrs. Lambchop's waist, and side streets of pretty houses with lawns like neat round postage stamps. Captain Ick, still angry, marched on ahead, but the rest of the committee halted at the head of Main Street. We'll just show you around, eh? Said President Ott. Safer, I think. The lamb chops saw at once the risk of walking streets scarcely wider than their feet. Escorted by the committee, they circled the little capital, bending down often to make use of their magnifying lenses. Mrs. Ott took care to indicate points of particular interest, among them Uck's Field, a sports center, Admiral Uck's Square, Uck's Park, and Uck's Science Center building. Mrs. Ott's grandfather whispered General Opp, very rich. The tour caused a great stir. Everywhere, the tiny citizens of Tyra waved from windows and rooftops. At the Science Center, the last stop, journalists took photographs and the lamb chops were treated like grape fizzola, the Tyran national drink, hundreds of bottles of which were emptied into 4 tubs to make Earth-size portions. Refreshed by his fizzola, Arthur took a little run and hurdled a large part of Tyraville, landing in Uck's Square. Arthur! Mrs. Lambchop scolded, and he hurtled back. Aren't kids the dickens, said a Tyran mother, looking on. Mine. Stop tugging, Herbert! The last word seemed addressed to the ground beside her. My youngest, she explained. Stanley squinted. I can hardly. He's just a dot. Here's the fizzola. They're pouring in big tubs for them. Dot yourself, said the angry voice. Big a Rooney, you're the funny-looking one. Herbert, his mother said. It is rude to make fun of people for their shape or size. As I said myself often when Stanley was flat, Mrs. Lambchop explained. If only. Surrender, Earth people! The cry had come from Captain Ick, who appeared now from behind the Science Center, staggering beneath the weight of a box-like machine almost as big as he was, with a tube sticking out of it. Surrender, he shouted. You cannot resist the magno-titanic paralyzing ray. Tyra will yet be saved. There's a truce, Ick, barked General App. You can't. Yes, I can. First, oops. Captain Ick's knees had buckled under, but he recovered himself. First, I'll paralyze the one that scared me back there in the field. Yellow light flickered up from Arthur from the magno-titanic paralyzer. Yikes, said Arthur, as shrieks rose from the crowd. But it was not Arthur that the magno-titanic beam landed. Stanley had sprung forward to protect his brother, and the light shone now on his chest and shoulder. Mrs. Lambchop almost fainted. Suddenly her fright was gone. Stanley was smiling. There's Stanley trying to protect Arthur. The yellow rays still flickering upon him, he rolled his head and wiggled his hands to show that he was fine. It's nice, actually, he said, like a massage. The crowd hooted. It only works on people Tyrant-side, someone called. You're a ninny, Ick. Then Captain Ick was marched off by a Tyrant policeman, and the crowd still laughed, drifting away. Mrs. Lambchop spoke sternly to the committee. Tyro will yet be saved. What did Captain Ick mean? And why, pray tell, did he attempt to paralyze my son? The Otts and General App exchanged glances. Dr. Epp stared at the ground. Said President Ott. Well, the fact is, we're having a crisis, actually. Yes, and oh, I'll tell them, Mrs. Ott burst suddenly into tears. About the super grow, tell them for heaven's sake. Puzzled, the lamb chop stared at her. The sky had darkened, and now a light rain began to fall. Wettish, eh? Said General App. Can't offer shelter, I'm afraid. No place large enough. The Star Scout will do nicely, said Mrs. Lambchop. Let us return to it for tea. And that was chapter 6. Thank you.